Happy Halloween Eve. So, for discussion today, this week, I'm not going to do it. I explained earlier during the weekend, but we're doing a recommended discussion topic. I have a couple on the burner right now, but it's the week of Halloween. It's the day before Halloween. We got to do a Halloween discussion, and let's bear in to talk about, at least in my opinion, who is the best horror movie slasher? Who's the best 80s icon? Is it Freddy, Jason, Michael? Those three. And the reason, and here's the thing. I'm going to say this right now. The reason it's these three and no one else is because, for me, these are the three, these are the A tier. These are the top of the top. These are the guys that everyone really thinks about when they think slasher. Leatherface, Pinhead, no, Pinhead's a bit more niche. A lot of people like Pinhead, but he's just never got the same kind of iconography as the other three did. Leatherface could be put in the discussion, but here's the problem. I don't really count him as a slasher. He's not, he kills young kids and stuff like that, but first off, his weapon of choice is a chainsaw. You can slash someone with a chainsaw, but it's just something about Leatherface. First off, when you talk about just a franchise alone, I think he has the smallest franchise out of any of them. You got the original, I think, 3, and I think they had like 2 reboots of the Texas Chainsaw, maybe 5. You know what? Give me 1 second. I'm gonna actually check that right now. How many Texas Chainsaws were there? Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. How many movies did we get out of there? Because right off the bat, Friday the 13th had about 11, not including Freddy vs. Jason, so 12. Halloween franchise went to 6, H2O, Resurrection, 8, 9. If you want to count the Michael Myers, Rob Zombie ones as well, you're looking at about 11 there. Hell, freaking Freddy Krueger. You have the Nightmare 3, 4, 5, I believe 6 if you count Phrase Dead, New Nightmare, Freddy vs. Jason, and you got the reboot. That's 8. Whereas Leatherface has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got 8. So he's at best tied with Freddy. But it's just never had here's the thing, even in later years, Freddy always had at least some appeal. Jason's always had some appeal. And the new one, Leatherface, just came out this year. Michael Myers has always had, clearly based off the box office, Michael Myers has always had some appeal. Leatherface has not had appeal. Just for the last, say, 3 movies, 2006 to 13 to 17, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, made $51.8 million on a $16 million budget. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, oh god, made even less on a greater budget. And then this new one, which I don't believe got even a release, didn't even make $1 million. So, yeah, let's be honest here. Not a lot of people care about Leatherface these days as much as, say, the rest of them. But, just to me, it's not the same comparison for Leatherface for the rest of them. So now I spent about 3 minutes explaining that. Let's actually get down into our main components. Now, this is going to be kind of treated like a best to worst video, but different. We're just going to discuss them. We'll discuss a couple categories. Like, first off, just how intimidating are they? What are their the motives behind what they do? How horrifying do they kill people? And ultimately, who's kind of stood on top throughout the years, and who's kind of like on top now overall. So let's just start out with just their concept. With right off the bat, Freddy, he's the Sandman. He hunts you into your dreams. You can't hide from him, basically. When you're asleep, he can come after you whenever he wants. He can go after anyone, really. But he chooses the victims of the children of the people who scorned him. He never haunted the adults' dreams. You ever notice that? He just went after the kids because that's what he said. I'll come after your children in their dreams. Or, the quote, oh God, what's the Scotsman's name from Simpsons when they did the Freddy Fazbear? I'll come after you. And say, no, you sit down. Oh, and he's on fire. Mm-hmm. I'll come after you the children when I can't protect them in their dreams. So, yeah. So that's basically, that makes him right off the bat probably more terrifying than, on many aspects, than Jason or Michael, who are just physically there, who you can run away from, and who you theoretically could just move to a different state, honestly, and they probably wouldn't come after you. Though H2O showed that Michael Myers still did. Or just move to another country. they probably aren't gonna, or continent, they probably aren't gonna come after you. Whereas Freddy, you can't hide from Freddy. So right there, Freddy's got that intimidation factor. Also, from a physical design, from like the physical character perspective, when you look at each of them, I will admit, Freddy, from an initial thought process, is like he's this burnt scar guy with these knife fingers. Oh God. However, you can see emotion. You can see if you're pissing him off, if you're getting to him, if you are winning against him. Because there are ways to beat Freddy, at least temporarily, to really upset him. Jason, Michael, you don't get that with them. You get these blank faces, a mask, that's it. Particularly with Michael Myers, whose mask cannot even portray the expression of a smile or anything. Is completely encompassing his head. Whereas Jason, he wears a pocket mask, which has been shredded in the past, so you can see more of his face. But from a physical perspective, Jason, I think, is the biggest among the three of them. So he does have like a physicality intimidation factor as well. Usually carrying a machete. Sometimes he's a decrepit corpse, so who's just walking around and killing people. So yeah, he is a kind of intimidating thing to look at in many respects. Michael, the scary part of Michael really is the fact, in terms of just a physical presence, is the fact that you're just nothing. There's no emotion on him whatsoever. But I mean, if I were to say who wins in that bout overall, I have to say from a concept and from a physical standpoint put together, it is Freddy Krueger, just because there's nothing you can do to avoid Freddy except not sleep, and we all need sleep. So, evidently, there's no real way to avoid Freddy in the long-term scheme of things. Then when you break it down to motivation, see, this is where it really gets tricky. Jason is motivated just to kill people who come to the Crystal Lake because his mother was killed. Basically avenging his mother, more or less. And he just keeps doing that. There's really no motivation beyond that. I believe it's described that he's kind of like a force of nature. You kind of can't stop him. But there are limits to what he does. Like Jason actually does have some very mild limitations. Like, we do not see Jason never kills kids. We're not talking to, I mean like 10 or below, or like a 13-year-old or below, like a young kid, like someone around his age when he possibly supposedly drowned. We never see Jason do that because I mean we see a couple moments where he's interacted with kids before. It's very rare, but we see it. There's one, which one is it? Is it Friday the 13th Part 6? It's not Stake Manhattan. I think it's the one before that, where he's in the kid's cabin at the camp, and he's standing over the kid's bed. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't hurt them. He also just doesn't like walk around a crowd killing people. When Jason Takes Manhattan, he just walks down the street, someone messes with him, he just pulls his mask up and they just like run away. It's like, even Jason's like, I don't have time for this shit. I'm looking for someone to kill. Don't give me a reason right now. I'm truly tempted right now. Also, Jason's one of those guys who admittedly will give someone a chance to fight back. Again, in Jason Takes Manhattan, he had the guys to say, come on. The guy actually tried to take Jason on, and Jason kind of just stood there and took it. He's like, okay, give me your best shot. Boom, took his head off, which was probably the best scene in that movie. So Jason does have some. Also, it's besides animals to live off and eat, it's implied Jason doesn't kill like innocent pets or anything like that. I think it's the second one. Yeah, it's the second one where that dog runs away and they think they see the dead dog, but the dog actually does come back. Turns out Jason didn't kill the dog. So I liken that to the fact that Jason, for what it is just a mentally stunted individual. We know he was deformed. It's very likely he had some mental retardation to him. So it's very likely he's still just kind of a giant kid in many respects. In terms of how he's viewing something. Particularly like when he sees an animal, maybe even just pet the dog and stuff like that. Puppy nice. Make Jason feel better. Maybe that's what he did. We don't know. We know the dog survived though. So I'm trying to think if there's any instance where I remember him killing an animal. No, honestly, no. I don't remember. Put in the comments below if you remember a moment where he actually, besides, obviously he ate animals to survive in the woods, but let me know if there's a moment in one of the films you remember him actually killing an animal. So Jason Jason is obviously a force nature, but he's more like a kid acting out of like fear and anger than an actual true psychotic killer. I mean, he's obviously not mentally stable. He's obviously a killer and psychotic on some level, but it's more kind of like survival than anything else. Michael Myers, not so much. Michael Myers there's very few limitations Michael Myers has. He will kill you. Michael Myers also loves to play the stalking game. He'll stand out, so he'll stand places, just stand there and then disappear. Michael Myers somehow is able to nearly teleport out of the way, so he can ghost you. In the newest one, little spoiler, there's a scene where a kid is kind of just drunk and he hit on a girl, didn't work out, so he's kind of just having this conversation. Michael's just standing, he's like, "Sorry, dude," stuff like that. And Michael disappears, and it's like an automatic light, so he disappears and lights on, and then he appears in front of the kid again, and then he attacks the kid. So he kind of is just. It's described that Michael Myers is just pure evil. In some of the more later films in the original series, it was about he was pure uncorrupted evil, basically. So but it doesn't imply that it was forced upon him. There's in a vast canvas of space, there's 1 star of good left in him. You see a scene in, I think it's the 5th one, where he's crying because he probably doesn't want to be doing what he's doing. But ultimately, yeah, Michael pretty much doesn't have real qualms about killing anyone. We see him choke out a freaking dog in the first movie. He has no issue, honestly, he kills teenagers all the time. Kills adults, no problem. And he also doesn't have an issue really with killing a kid because, little spoiler, he does actually kill a kid in the new movie. He breaks the kid's neck. But there is a catch to that. I should have noted, too, there might be some spoilers for the new Halloween. I apologize for that. He won't kill a newborn. He won't kill an infant. There is a scene in the newest one where there's a baby in a crib crying, and he looks at it, but just keeps walking. He also doesn't, at one point, kill someone else for one reason or another. It shows that as Michael probably got older, despite the fact he is still pure evil, there seems to be some level of rules he abides by. There's some things he won't do for whatever his reasons are. But Michael also just doesn't talk. That's the thing about these two also. They do not talk. We've never heard Michael Myers talk ever, except in the Rob Zombie films, and only as a kid in one word in the second one, and that was just stupid. Regardless if you like them or not, sorry, that was stupid. It's Michael Myers doesn't talk. That's the fucking point. And Jason doesn't talk either. So it's very interesting how these two compare. Then you get to Freddy. And here's the real difference between these guys, where Jason loses. I'm going to say Jason loses this round also because Jason at best or at worst, he's kind of just, basically a child acting, a psychotic child, a mentally unstable child killing people, but he's a kid acting up. Michael Myers is more or less pure evil with kind of a code of ethics, with a very, very minimalistic rule base that he goes by. Freddy was a child killer and a possible pedophile, and definitely confirmed pedophile in the reboot, before he even died. Freddy loves tormenting you because that's how he gets his kicks on. It's basically how he gets a stiffy now. Freddy revels in it. Freddy can also talk and shit talk and play mind games with you. Freddy will do whatever he has to do to scare the hell out of you. He can do whatever he wants in the dream world. Freddy can do whatever he needs to do to terrify you. There's individuals who don't remember Busta Rhymes in Resurrection. Honestly, he wasn't scared. Remember, he wasn't scared of Michael when he broke it down. He got his ass kicked a couple times, but he wasn't scared of Michael when he really break down those scenes. He didn't show fear of Michael. There's individuals who weren't afraid of Jason when you really break it down. Again, the boxer. He was running, but then he just he just comes and says, "Come on." He's trying to face his fears. Anyone who tries that with Freddy, except for the main girl's got plot armor, is screwed. Anyone who's tried that with Freddy has been screwed. Particularly in Dream Warriors, where they had the ability to lucid dream and actually fight Freddy, and he screwed every one of them up. So Freddy takes a very strong advantage on this, on the grounds that, first off, unlike the other two, where at best, Michael does kind of enjoy the cat. You get the idea he enjoys the cat and mouse stalking routine a little bit. even if you can't see it on his face. We know for a fact Freddy revels in it. He loves it. And he can do whatever he wants so long as he's in the dream world. Even if he's out of the dream world, he can still kill you with a knife glove and a little bit of reality warp. Anytime I do the Who, I have to emphasize, he has some minor reality warping capabilities in the real world, but it's really not much. So when it comes to the way they actually handle themselves around their victims, I would lean towards Freddy, but Michael does come in a close second, simply because Michael is just, he's wearing a mask that no expression on it, but he's cold. He's stone cold. He's just stone cold. You can't reason with him. You can't bargain with him. With Freddy, you can argue and bargain. So, bargain, yeah, it's not going to do much. Most of the time. There are some more exceptions. So, I mean, now that I say that, I'll give an even rating for both Freddy and Michael on that one. Both of them would get a point in this. So right now it's 2-1, 2-1-0 with Freddy in the lead. Then you get into the way they kill their respective, cannon fodder, if you will. I mean, Freddy, creative kill-wise, you have to go with Freddy basically off the top. I mean, if we go by a kill count, I mean, how many people have they all killed in their respective franchises? It's actually not a lot when you bring out Freddy Krueger's franchise. Freddy, I think, actually has the lowest kill count among any. I think both both Jason and Michael have actually killed more people than Freddy Krueger has. Yeah, I bring that up. I think they've killed a lot more people than Freddy has. So in your numbers, Freddy loses. But again, when you exist in a dream world where you can do pretty much anything to kill anyone, it kind of is an unfair comparison in some ways. But I mean, let's break some of his most creative kills film by film that I can remember. Obviously, you got in the first one. There's obviously the infamous floating bed scene. That's a classic. Being sucked into the bed, and then just a hose of blood coming out, the wave of blood with Johnny Depp's death. In the second one, there's the puppet string death. There's the being skewered through the door death. And freaking Dream Warriors. There's hey, let's get high. So there's that. There's that one. There's oh man. There's the skeleton Freddy coming to life. There in the fourth one, I'm pretty sure that's the one where it's oh crap. Which one was it? Roaches check in. He turns a girl into a roach and things along those lines. In the fifth one, the Dream Child, the one where he basically feeds a girl till she blows up. Grant, that one also had a guy fighting an invisible Freddy. So essentially, you were just seeing a guy, like I'm doing right now on screen, fighting nothing. But still, it had a girl who basically, you are what you eat. And Freddy's Dead, I will admit, he had the kid who he killed with the ear, hearing aid. That said, you're dreaming yourself deaf. That I don't understand. You're dreaming yourself deaf. Is it because you've always been deaf? Is that it? So you maybe I don't know. I can't remember that. Hell, in Freddy versus Jason, there was actually Freddy didn't get any real kills in Freddy. He got, I think, one kill in Freddy versus Jason. Now that I think about it, yeah, he only got one kill. Jason got the most of them. But still, he was able to. He killed the kid with the setting him on fire and slashing him up. So there was that. Hell, in the reboot, he's got a couple real good ones. Where it's like, I was just petting him, and then the kid cut his throat. So yeah, Freddy's had some real creative deaths. However, if we got to compare his creativity in the dream world, I mean, there's also you're on prime time, bitch, and all that stuff. Jason, for what it's worth, has had a couple creative deaths as well. Nothing seriously on the par of real creativity, but you get the downward slice of some guy in a handstand. That's just getting chopped in the junk sounds horrifying. Spearing a couple in bed together. There's the girl whose face he forced through a car through a Winnebago wall. I'm trying to think of a couple again, punching the guy's head off. The skewer in Jason Goes to Hell, skewering the couple the woman having sex and splitting her in half. So in terms of just sheer gruesomeness, Jason's head, and then there's the other guy who basically turned into a human pretzel. There is the guy's head he broke, which a terrible prosthetic head, but still, Jason's had some pretty brutal kills. We're not even going into Jason X, where he liquid nitrogen in the girl's face. So yeah, he's certainly had quite a few hardcore kills before. And then you get into Michael Myers, who, to be fair, Michael's kind of less creative. I even was like watching Dead Meat. If you watch that YouTube series, you want the kill count. That's a fun series to watch. He basically is like the constant like stabbing someone hanging there, and that's cool. Constantly choking people, that's whatever. The syringe to the head causing just a serious aneurysm. The drowning someone in a hot tub, basically having their skin peel off the pitchfork through the boyfriend. Sight slash, that was whatever. The new ones didn't have a lot of creative deaths, honestly. They were pretty. But yeah, and then honestly, if I'm going to say right now, Michael Myers loses this fight due to just sheer lack of he did not have a lot of creative deaths. Though he did have, the ice skates to Jason Corlet's face in H2O, that wasn't bad. So it really comes down to Freddy versus Jason. Now, you'd think I might be leaning towards Freddy on this one. And stupid freaking updates I don't need. Lately I've been getting updates I just don't, I have not been needing to get. And you might be thinking I'm going with Freddy on this one, but for the fact that first off, he's killed more people than Freddy, and for the sheer just physical audacity, that he's in the real world, he's got to pull this shit off in the real world, I might actually have to lean towards Jason a little bit. It's not, because Freddy has an unfair advantage in this category where he has the dream world that he can do just about anything. So for me, that's kind of an unfair advantage there. Even though in the dream world, I gave him that advantage because he can be whatever you want to scare him. But that was a different type of category. So in terms of actual sheer creativity and sheer amount of kills, I will actually go with Jason, because Jason's a bit more diverse. He's he's actually a lot more adaptive. He can kill you with just about anything. He doesn't need powers to kill you, and he's killed far more people than Freddy overall has. Freddy, if it wasn't for that, if Freddy had honestly killed more people than Jason, I probably wouldn't be able to argue that Freddy wins this category. But I actually will give it to Freddy, or for Jason on this one. So at least it's a 2, 1, and 1 for each. Freddy's still ahead. But now we get to the last one. We get to the big one. Relevance today. Now, this might be an unfair one because the Halloween movie just came out and it's a hit. But still, relevance today. Now, if we look at each one of these individuals' last movies, how did it fare out? Well, obviously, Halloween is a freaking hit. But let's be fair here. The last 2 Halloweens did not. I mean, Rob Zombie's first one did well to earn a sequel. The second one did not. And even though that capped off an ending for the movie anyway, or that particular series, it still did not do well either way. The new one, obviously, it's a hit. It's already made like $172 million on a $10 million budget. It's going to crack $200 million easy. It's going to be in the top films of all time, kind of thing. Which 200 in terms of box office. They surpassed $200 million in the box office to make that. So I mean, in terms of relevance, you'd immediately be able to say, well, Michael Myers. I mean, Michael Myers has the hit movie. He's the most popular. They haven't made a Friday the 13th since the remake in 2009, Freddy or a Nightmare on Elm Street since I believe the remake in 2010. To be fair though, they hadn't made a when did Halloween 2 come out? 1 second. Halloween 2. When did that one come out? Halloween 2 2009? Was that really? Was it 2009? When did the first one come out then? I thought the first one came out in 2009. Halloween 2007. Oh wow. So yeah, so it's actually so that's the big issue here is that it's been over nearly a decade since the last Halloween movie. I mean, to be fair, it's also been a near decade since the last Friday the 13th, and it's going to be even longer before that. It's actually been less time for Freddy Krueger. And there have been talks that Robert Englund might want to come back and play Freddy again. So, and there's been rumors circulating for Jason, but no one wanted an origin story for Jason. I don't know who got the idea people wanted that. I'm sorry. I'm serious. Like, well, let's hear about Jason's father. It's like, no one cares. No one cares. So, again, still though, Halloween just came out. You'd expect it to be it, but here's the thing. Yeah, Halloween's the more relevant right now at this present moment right now because the movie just came out. But if you were to take that movie out, let's actually take that movie just out of the equation right now. If you were to think who would be the most relevant, who would be when you think of Halloween, who do you think of? When you think of horror movie slashers, you think Freddy, Jason, Michael, and some people Leatherface. But one thing separates one of these guys from the other. Freddy has the extra advantage of being quotable. Now, granted, that's not saying a huge amount, to be fair. He's got a lot of lines, sure, but most of them, you can admit that a lot of people don't quote these days. But there's another twist to that as well. Being quotable and having an actual personality and presence has allowed Freddy to surpass just the horror slasher genre that he's in, and to be parodied, to be made comedic fun of. Look at Family Guy. They've also made a Friday the 13th joke as well. In fact, Family Guy made both those, but they have not made a Halloween joke, as far as I know. So they made both those jokes. Hell, an episode of freaking Rick and Morty has Scary Terry, who is legitimately, looks like a safe knockoff of a 80s horror, or a legal knockoff of a 80s horror movie villain, Morty. That's what Scary Terry was. There's a lot of, there's a lot more not remaking, because, what's the word I'm looking for? Influence. Friday the 13th's influence has influenced a lot of other kind of concepts. The concept of entering your dream is nothing new. The concept of bad things happening in your dreams is not anything new, but Freddy, when he came out, opened the door for more of that. Whereas the problem with Halloween and Friday the 13th, when you actually lay them out on the table, is that when you think of the concepts, they're just guys killing people. They're just guys dressed up, they're icons, but they're just guys killing people. Freddy's actual type of shtick and concept existing in Dreamville transcends into other genres and can be used in different ways. You can make an argument that on some level, Inception takes some sort of concept from Friday the 13th going into dreams and things along those lines. You could possibly die in the dream if you're not careful. So, now granted, other films have done that too. I get that. But you could still make the argument Freddy at least helped influence that on some minor level. So, now, if I were to make the argument then, among them before Halloween came out, what was the most relevant, I might have to put the argument on Freddy, simply because his movie's plot and shtick and everything like that does transcend just the movie and goes into other mediums. Halloween and Friday the 13th do not. But if I'm to be fair here, the most relevant at the moment is Halloween. I wanted to give my proper defense though of Freddy Krueger though, because it's noted that he's the only one, when you really break it down, who you can see influences in other forms of media from him. Whereas the other ones, you can't automatically say, oh, this was influenced by Halloween. This was influenced by Friday the 13th. No, you just say, this is influenced by the slasher genre. Whereas other stuff, you can actually see Nightmare on Elm Street's influence. So I'm going to give a point to each for Michael Myers and for Freddy, which actually, because when you do the numbers, does mean I still put Freddy ahead. Michael Myers is still more relevant at the moment, but just because of the Halloween and coming back and everything. However, Freddy overall has actually been the more relevant in pop culture because of the influences that he's had on mediums. Well, again, Simpsons did parodies of Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street. Family Guy did it. Rick and Morty's done it. Other mediums have done it. And you can clearly see the influence from there. Unless you're wearing a hockey mask or a William Shatner mask, you can't see a direct influence on other mediums from Halloween or Friday the 13th. So ultimately, I'm going to go Freddy Krueger on this. I think Freddy Krueger is the greater villain slasher icon between these three. I would then go Michael Myers, and then I'd go Jason Voorhees. Jason Voorhees is still, a classic. All these guys are like the A tier, but if you're going to tell me who rules the roost among these guys, I'm going to say Freddy Krueger. But what do you think overall? Put it in the comments below, let me know. Thank you for watching, though. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Ideas for would win, Star Wars, Superman, Magic, What If, anything to do with the channel, put that in the comments below. Let me know. I'll get to review that at some point. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you